Hello and welcome to Small Business CEO TV, where small business finds big ideas. My name is Glenn Garnes and I am the founder of Small Business CEO, and I'm obviously the host of this show. I want to welcome you and thank you for joining us. This show is about connecting you to small business owners around the country and around the world by allowing you to get to know them as you get to know their businesses. The whole purpose is to allow everyone to make quality connections with each other so that we can have confidence and have a lot of fun in doing business with each other. So today we have a guest in the studio, Miss Sylvia Henderson, who also happens to be the founder, co-founder of Mind Team Solutions. And Sylvia is a very special person in our world because she also has probably known me longer than anybody else that you'll see on this show. But I want you to know that she doesn't hold that against me. So Sylvia, welcome to Small Business CEO TV.
And I'm thrilled to be here on Small Business CEO TV.
Well, you know, we could be here for days
I know.
interviewing you on all the things that people would want to know, but we're going to leave something after this show for people to find out about you by actually connecting with you and finding out more about you. But why don't we start off by just finding out a little bit about whatever you want to share first about yourself.
Okay. So I'm, if you want the personal, I'm from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I realize there's other Philadelphias in the world. And I've come to the Washington, D.C. area from a corporate background. Company brought me here. However, once the company left me, as they say, so you left? I said, no, the company left me. I became an entrepreneur, and I haven't looked back.
So you actually are from Philadelphia, and I think you went to school in Philadelphia as well initially.
Yep.
Where was
undergrad, so I went to interestingly, I talked to someone the other day. I went to an all-girls high school, and that shaped me somewhat because I wasn't competing with boys. Then I went to an historically black college, so that got me comfortable in another sense, very, very comfortable with leadership and all that. And then I went to University of Pittsburgh.
A very prestigious institution.
There you go, and any Penn State viewers are like, ooh. But I went to University of Pittsburgh for my MBA.
Nice, nice. Now, you said you started in corporate America, obviously, and you obviously transitioned at some point in time into your own business, but was there anything specific that you learned about the corporate, the C-suite type environment that led to your having any kind of head start or insight into starting your own business?
So I've learned being involved in corporate gave me a perspective that transitions to what I'm doing now in my business working with companies, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. So it gave me that insight. I've been on the inside of a company, moved up leadership chain somewhat, and it gave me the foundation for, hey, what does a good business look like? Because even though it was a big company, I had my piece of the territory, and I had to run it as my own business, basically. So I learned about dealing with the money, with the finance, balancing the department budget, working with people, seeing how people are inspired and how they aren't. How do you write a good proposal? How do you do good staff work? So a lot of the ethics and the way of running a business I learned from my corporate experience.
Well, we're going to talk about your business in just a minute, and I think that one of the things that you just mentioned was that your insights into being an employee within the company also gave you a head start on what their needs would be, and that probably formed the foundation for what you're currently doing, which we're going to find out about in just a minute. But before I do, I want to find out, do you have any hobbies or interests that people should know about?
Well, if anybody does any Googling, well, I don't know if they'll find me on my motorcycle or not. But motorcycling is what most people know that I do for a hobby. And that's not motorcycling to commute, or I might not be sitting here with the traffic the way we have it. But I just love riding. I have a Honda Shadow 1100, for those who know what a bike looks like. It looks like a Harley. My Harley friends say, you're okay. And I had that midlife crisis at 40, and wanted to learn to ride because it just looked cool.
Well, I'm thinking about doing that myself, but I have to say I'm going to seek out your advice before I do anything.
Almost ready for a trike. That might be the thing to do next.
There you go. There you go. Tell me one thing that most people don't know about you.
Ooh. One thing, people don't know that I started college when I was 15.
Wow. Tell me that story.
Well, like coming up in the Philadelphia school district, which is like any major city school system, so I'm not going to pick on Philadelphia per se. My parents had the foresight to know that if I wasn't being challenged in the grade that I was in, perhaps I needed to go further. And my mom worked in the school system, so she knew how to kind of advance that process. So I skipped a couple of grades. Mom got tired of staying home with me when I was a kid, so she put me into first grade at 5.
Oh my goodness.
So she could go back to work. She happened to be the head secretary of my elementary school. So, there was no funny business going on because she was right down there in the office. But I skipped a couple of grades and took some
of grades.
Well, and
Did
took
you
some
hear that, folks?
accelerated.
She skipped a couple of grades. That's amazing.
And so, yeah, I ended up at Cheney University when I was 15.
Now, what was that like?
It was cool. It was cool because it freed me from expectations. There were expectations of an 18-year-old or 19-year-old woman in college. And everybody thought I was weird because I was 15. And so they just excused whatever weirdness did come about. So it was freeing.
You could really be yourself.
Yes,
and have an excuse for why.
That's right.
That's great. All right, so let's talk a little bit about your business, because I mean that is a very important part of why we're here at Small Business CEO. Tell us why and how you started Mind Team Solutions, which I understand is the name of the business.
So in the corporate world, I realized that getting people to work together, to really collaborate, was one of the really good things that happened in the company that I worked for. And it helped us feel engaged, it helped us feel valued, even though I was one of thousands, because we're talking about a Fortune probably 50 company at that time. So we're one of thousands of people. Yet the company culture was such that we each felt like we owned a piece of the company. And we were therefore loyal, we felt like we were contributing. And that feeling seems to be rare in the corporate world, and still today even, I won't say how many years later. So that collaboration also carried over into entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurs work alone a lot. And so a lot of ideation, a lot of ideas get implemented when entrepreneurs work together. So it started out my forming these entrepreneurial mind teams, I called them, and facilitating them and seeing the benefit to the solo business owner. That transitioned to my business partner, who was a part of one of these mind team groups, said, companies need this. And my business partner is Josh Silverstone. And
we're going to be talking with him soon as well.
Awesome. Great conversation to have, because I'm biased. So he approached me and said, let's bring this to the corporate environment, because the companies even today we see that companies don't have disengaged employees. Disengaged employees cost, we just saw a survey, a report that said disengaged employees can cost billions of dollars a year. It's up to, I think the estimate was about $2,500 per disengaged employee per year that a company can lose by not having them engaged in the company business. And engagement doesn't just mean doing, it means contributing. So these mind teams will help employees work with each other, make decisions on their own, increase the company culture so that the company is absorbing positively these contributions from employees. It builds leadership because these groups are facilitated. So it grows leaders from within. And how many times have you been in a training environment where trainers come in and it's like great training, and then after they leave, employees go right back to what they were doing? That's right, no follow-up. So these mind teams allow month-to-month constant follow-up. And we just felt that what they do for entrepreneurs, they can do for companies.
Give us a little more insight into the whole premise behind the mind team. In other words, give me an example where, when I hear you say mind team, I hear thought leadership.
Okay.
I hear collaboration.
Okay.
People sharing ideas and information. people coming together in an environment where they are encouraged to work together and they're open to other people's ideas as opposed to advocating for their own idea.
That's right.
Tell me a little bit more about how am I tracking with you?
You're tracking, and there's a trust environment that ask an employee, hey, do you trust your manager? Do you trust somebody from another department? They'll say, I don't even know somebody from another department. So these mind teams are people in different departments or possibly across different levels of an organization coming together once a month or some other period of time as agreed upon, and actually having someone who knows how to make a group work together, get them to solve problems, solve issues, make decisions that they can then go and implement, come up with new ideas.
It sounds like you're actually creating a culture where that entity, that business, has the ability to create their own internal think tank.
There you go.
And that gives them a whole new dimension of value in the employees that they've chosen to hire.
Right, and so it benefits the company because our clients are the people who are bringing us in are the C-suite. They're the owner, the founder. I mean, one great example is a founder of a company starts a company and it has one or two people. They have that culture of, hey, we're working together in the kitchen at the kitchen table. Then they get those great contracts and they grow to 50, 100, 200 people over time, and suddenly that culture dissipates. And they need to bring that collaboration back, that communication back, that decision making back, that loyalty back to what the founder originally intended. And that's what these groups can do.
Fantastic. You know, this is a subject that's near and dear to my heart because you know I'm a big believer in collaboration. It's one of the central principles under which we operate with Small Business CEO. And you know, I always felt like in a sales environment, for example, you always had people, they were there, sales meetings were more about trying to one-up someone than coming up with ideas that everyone could benefit from. But it sounds like Mind Teams is a great way for employees to have another way to offer value beyond just what's on their job description.
Right, and so we create this platform of these idea mind teams, plus there's supportive structures behind that to make it work in a company. And I personally go out and speak to groups, speak to companies about what we call the power of intentional groups and the power of the third mind, which is something that Napoleon Hill talks about, the power of the third mind. And that's what I speak on, as well as that's what we do with Mind Team Solutions. We implement that.
Awesome. Now, let's shift gears for just a minute here. We're going to stay on topic of your business, but what do you like most about being in business for yourself compared to being employed by someone else?
So I like setting my own, well, there's that people say, oh, you're on your own business, so you can set your own time. You can do what you want during the day. You can, you have all this time to yourself. And I just saw a poster recently that said entrepreneurship is working 100 hours a week in order to not work 40-hour-a-week job.
Exactly.
So the independence of, I know that, so the thing I like the best is being able to make my own decisions, setting my own path, knowing that I'm responsible for what happens. And while that's scary, that's also great.
Well, I thank you for sharing that, first of all, because, I think that any entrepreneur who's serious about their business understands that when you're putting those 100 hours in, that's an investment in you and your business. When you put the 40 hours in with an employer, it's trading time for dollars.
That's a mindset too.
And that's, you might want to use that and be sure to give appropriate credit. But seriously, I love what you do because it's so in alignment with what we're about here at Small Business CEO. And I also love that you're bringing it to people who have not yet experienced the concept of being in business for themselves.
Okay.
Because you know as well as I do that most people get into business is because they became disenchanted with being employees. And that's not always the best reason to get into business, although that happens to be probably the #1 catalyst beyond, I don't even know what the next biggest thing is, biggest reason
Probably
is for
being
people.
fired.
Laid off, fired.
The company left me.
Disenchanted or laid off. Those are probably the two biggest ones. That's when the epiphany happens.
That's right.
But the point is that you're giving people an opportunity to see how much more quickly they can develop relationships of trust, and relationships that result in the exchange of ideas faster and at an earlier point in their history, which is
And
always
actually
beneficial.
make things happen, because that's, ideas are great. And my tagline has always been, and still is in a way, get your ideas out of your head and into action for profit and purpose. And that's what these mind teams allow individuals to do while still following the mission, the vision, the values of the company's founders and owners.
Fantastic. So before we wrap up, why don't you tell us who you're looking to connect with? Who's a good connection from you from a business standpoint?
Okay. I sort of said that, hinted at that a few minutes ago. So I'm looking to connect with people who have that C title: CEOs, COO, Chief Learning Officers, Chief Knowledge Officers in another sense, and CHRO, which I hadn't heard of, Chief Human Resource Officers. So a lot of them, those are decision makers who know that there's something that needs to be done about their people, with their people, if they truly think that their people are key to their profitability, and they are. Those are the kinds of people we're looking in Mind Team Solutions to connect with, because we don't want to have to convince you that your people are important. We want you to know your people are important, and you're seeking a way to keep them staying important and feeling important and contributing, because it always comes down to contributing to your bottom line.
And I suspect that anybody that also deals with C-suite executives externally, other service providers that interact with them would be also great connections and colleagues for you as well.
And we're strategic partners. I mean, we are a collaborative company, and we're looking for strategic partners like coaches, executive coaches, training companies. Again, they come in, they train, great training, but they need something so that training sticks. Coaches, executive coaches come in and they work with an executive or a leader that needs some coaching, but at some point in time they leave, and that leader needs something to keep encouraging, keep growing those skills that they were coached on. So those are great strategic partners.
All right, well, thanks for sharing that. Now, for those of you that are watching this episode of Small Business CEO TV from Sylvia's personal profile at Small Business CEO TV's main website, you already have all the contact information for right there on that page. But for those of you who are seeing us somewhere else, maybe on Facebook or LinkedIn or someplace else, let's give you a chance to get connected to Sylvia. I believe that your domain or your website is mindteamsolutions.com.
The company website is mindteamsolutions.com.
Mindteamsolutions.com. That's where you can connect with Sylvia for purposes of if you're not on the Small Business CEO website, you can connect with her there and connect with her partner, who we're going to have a chance to talk to shortly as well.
And if you just want a speaker, the site is my name, SylviaHenderson.com, but that'll lead you to Mind Team Solutions too.
There you go. So SylviaHenderson.com. So I want to thank you for joining us on Small Business CEO TV. It is always a pleasure.
I can't think of any other place to be at this point in time.
And for the rest of you who may be thinking about, could Small Business CEO work for me too? I want to send you to sbceo.com. That's www.sbceo.com. And just click the link at the top of the website for Join the Network, and you'll have all the details there. We're very serious about business and supporting business owners, and we will make sure that we do everything we can to support your business and get you connected to Sylvia as well. So on behalf of Sylvia Henderson and Mind Team Solutions, I want to thank you for joining us on this episode of Small Business CEO TV.